Anyone struggle with the sentiment today?
I think Shorty. After they held 42.30, I'm not shorting this.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think it was an easy day for trading. Even yesterday, if you guys remember, this was our PD value area low for yesterday. We talked about it, right? We said if it's, I'm on ES now, but if we reclaim that, don't be in the way, because there's a chance they're going to execute 80%, and that's exactly what they did, right? They did it on ES and they did it on NQ. Here they made a higher high, right? But they didn't close above it. So now I'm pretty sure we're going to be dancing here. This POC and this little node that you guys see, because it does have like a double distribution feeling to it. It's not really a P shape. And it's not, I would say, it's not a single distribution, like a very bullish case scenario. Because what happened at close?
Close inside value and below POC.
Yeah, they pushed it all the way. I mean, they pushed it back to the POC, right? So usually when you have a regular shape, meaning D-shape neutral profile, right? Depending where they close at the end, and this was almost like a spike down, right? Towards the end of the day, but considering we had a major run from the morning all the way to the top, not surprised that there was some selling, right? There's a lot of unknowns. And tomorrow, you have the bank's earnings, so I'm pretty sure that can cause some fireworks as well. And I think it's Bank of America that's first. So that's normal that they sell off. So tomorrow, if they can clear this PDPOC, what happens?
Going for value area high.
There's a high chance, guys, you're gonna go. It's probably higher than 80% that you're gonna go to the PD value area high of the weekly in the previous day. And you notice on the value areas, they started overlapping here, still strong, right? The POC is higher, and now what's happening between these days? Just take a look at it. I've shown you this before, right? Does anyone notice it without me pointing it out?
Yeah, it's overlapping.
Remember this trick I showed you last time? You take a look at these POCs and what's happening to the POC growth, right? So here,
Smaller.
it's a lot tighter. Did we see this recently anywhere?
Yeah, back.
You guys remember this?
Yeah, I remember that.
So same thing happened again, right? So now if they're contracting, right, and you see the value areas most likely are gonna be close, right? In the middle of the day, and I don't know if I've covered it ever before, but it's just a fact, like a little tip when you look at initial balances, right? When when the initial balance is set, let's say this one here was also initial balance up. Yeah, so this was the IBH of the day prior to today. And, the IBH here was, I would say, is it this one here? Probably here, right? This was the IBL. And you see that we closed, right? We explored lower. The range extension was to the downside. Usually, dependent where you open, right? You see where we open here. We open, I would say, below the IBL of the previous day too, right? And this is just a range extension. Once they're able to reclaim, like for instance, the previous initial balance, that's an important fact, right? If you look at it here, I'm just gonna assume it's this candle here at 10:30, might be a few points off. Once they are able to reclaim this, but if they're able to break prior their balance to the upside, because here, what did they do this day to the initial balance?
It broke it to the downside.
They broke it to the downside. So now if they're able to break this to the upside and close above it, what would it tell you between the 2 days?
We are rejecting that value.
That most likely this was a trap day. Because if you went lower, you explored lower, then you found, I would say maybe, I would have to look at this looks like single prints to me on a tail, right? Unless I bring up toss and look at the market profile, but this looks like single prints. That single prints means what?
Needs fixing. No volume.
Yeah, but what does it mean in terms of buyers? Sure, it needs fixing. Yeah, we'll have to fix it at some point, right? But what does it mean?
Initiative buyers, they drove that price up quickly from there.
Do you think that they are? Do you think those buyers are day traders?
Nope.
Probably not.
99% not.
No.
It's usually other time frame buyers, meaning non-daily buyers, day to day. It could be 2 weeks, even longer periods, depending where you are in terms of value. But usually single prints indicate that there's other time frame buyers coming in. So the only way, right, that you can go lower, right, is if you take out these one time frame buyers, meaning other time frame buyers are stepping in and they're able to push the price up. I mean, that's a pretty good push, right? At 4 o'clock, they pushed it. What is this? Like 10 points? Call it 10 points. That's pretty decent push at close. And then, what did they do? They reclaimed that level initial balance and they move forward. What I was going to tell you about the initial balance, if we are to open very close in initial balance, and let's say it's overlapping higher, it can signal 9 out of 10 times that you're going to have a trend day. And just something to keep in mind, it's almost like when you're opening D shape on the bullish side, this is the same concept. It's just the initial balance shifted up. And if the initial balance shifted up, I would say most of the time you're going to have the value area shift up because a lot of volume happens in the first hour.
Please, Shorty, can you repeat that? The
No, it's
initial
recorded.
balance?
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Yeah, so initial balance, if let's say day one, initial balance, this is day one, initial balance here. Let's say this is last night's or today's, right? At the end of close. And let's say tomorrow's initial balance, right? High is set here. And let's say the low is set here. Usually you want it somewhere in the 50% range of the whole thing, right? So you don't want it to go dip below. You want it to be in the upper half of the previous day. Most likely the break of that initial balance here means when the extension comes in, if this is our IBH here, if we have this tomorrow and we break about the first hour, most likely you're going to lead to a trend day instead of a balance day.
Okay, thank you.
Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So tomorrow I would say the case is fairly simple, right? Yeah, you got to get over the PDPOC, hop over that. It would be ideal if they give us a retest if they reject like 54, 55. Because you have this, just look a little bit longer. You have this high volume node here, right? It's still, they tried above it once, they failed and came in and kind of really rocket over it. It's still a problem. So ideally, what they should do for us is go here somewhere and come back. Don't expect this to be a perfect to a penny bounce for you to get a super nice entry. It's not how trading works. You're not 9 out of 10 times you're not going to get a perfect entry. You got to give up some points sometimes on the risk to get in. Okay. So that's something I will look for tomorrow. Probably explore it for 10 points. I played today a couple of points on ES on 10 contracts. I had a bracketed order and I think I walked out with almost $2,500 on it. On just a few points, right? So, and even if you're playing options and if you're not up to futures, if you're more experienced with SPX, if SPX moves 10 points, ES moves 10 points, and you time it perfectly, what happens to your SPX contract?
Easily 100% in high.
Yeah, I guarantee you 9 out of 10 times it's going to be over 100%.
And if you're
These
out
few
of
points that you would catch on ES. I guarantee you that. So don't think, oh man, I'm just, I'm trading futures. No, I mean, it's a preference right now. There's a lot of volatility. There's a lot of hedges coming in. You have the JPM, the collar that they set, and then they added the 0 DTs, which I would say adds complexity to the trading kind of world. Especially, if somebody's used to trading 0 DTs, it adds a lot of complexity. So that's why I only trade when I see a decent setup. and when my investment on the SPX contracts is not that great. Meaning, like, I think we played KISS and I think it was like $110, 120.
Yeah, it went to like $3.
They went to $3 and the guys, that's easy, 200%. And then we played few points. And I think we played last 10 minutes, maybe last 30 seconds too. And it's the same concept, right? Emotional's out and you manage it. But with futures for newer guys and, you know, more experience, it's much easier to manage, in my opinion, your risk because you don't have additional math you need to do to figure out your stop losses, right? You set a stop loss, which should be set first per your plan, right? You set the stop loss and you play the trade, right? If it hits, you get out and move on, right? The trade's not working in your favor and that's it. Sometimes in options, right? The price is deceiving in the contracts, right? Especially if you're playing 0DT, the time kind of flies by faster when you have it and it goes the opposite way. And it's just kind of the value, it kind of just erases as the time passes. The futures, you don't have the decay, right? So you're trading the direction and the timing somewhat you want it to be good just because you're stop loss, right? You don't want to, even if you're right in the idea where it's going to reject, but you get in early and then it goes 2 points over your initial entry, you might be stopped out because, you got out a little bit early. So hopefully that makes sense. So on this chart, I'm just looking above PD POC. If they go above and they fail, I would short that. And if you guys look, what can you do here now? The last step here. There's something that can be done here. Does anyone know what that is?
In the cumulative POC for the range.
So we have a 3-day POC here. Are we not in balance here on a 3-day?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a perfect balance. Now you have a 3-day balance. I would mark these levels, right? So if you look here, that's right about 45.55. And they had trouble with that level, right? So if you go here and you just mark this, if I can see this correctly. And now what you have, because we're just in a bracketed 3-day balance right now, right? I mean, it's just a consolidation. So now when you see this, right, if we're able to go here, right, and we reject that and then lose POC, what is most likely to happen?
The other extreme value area low.
Most likely you're going right here, 3D value area low. Okay. So that I would definitely watch this 3-day balance tomorrow and see what we do. If we are able to build value above, this 54, 55 area, then, accumulate a little bit more here and then cause this break of previous week value area high, well, that would mean you're creating an imbalance on the weekly as well, right? So that could cause some major run here, which we had 45.83, and I think there was another level we were watching. Maybe it's gone now. Yeah, it was 93 and 83. Okay, I'll add them. Okay, was that easy? Yes, any questions? So it's gonna be volatility, right? The earnings season is coming up. The banks are first. You're gonna get volatility tomorrow, especially pre-market. Okay, and then let me make sure you guys have this.
Can I ask the question?
Say it again.
Can I ask the question, please?
Of course, yeah.
You said you measured 3 days POC. Why not 4 days? When 4 days was I think Tuesday when we broke the previous range.
It wouldn't. I can add it definitely, but it's not going to change much here. So I'll add it. But you see, the range really started. The value areas here are a little bit closer, and they're touching here, right?
Yeah.
Between three of them. So can you add this one? Is it going to change anything? Probably not, right? And this was a P shape, right? Profile. So I would say it's all of the volume is concentrated on above side, right? Anyway, so it's not going to shift this much, right? So if I go here, So this one shifted lower, right? You see this, let me make sure. Yeah, so no, it's still, yeah, shifted lower here. So PDL went down all the way to 20, right? So it doesn't really do much, but you can
The
definitely, I mean,
POC is basically in the same place, yeah?
yeah, exactly. The POC didn't shift, right? For me, them losing POC is important. On a P shape that they're creating right here, I'm concerned, that this previous week POC, that's a high volume node in itself. If they're to lose this, I'd be targeting, would I take some stab short, but I'd be targeting to get a bounce here at 45.10, 4,500, because that's a P shape. And what do you do in the bullish trend on P shapes?
You long the high HVMs in the bottom.
Yeah.
That's exactly right here. So that's the main reason why I didn't have that one, if that makes sense. I knew that there's, previous week POC as well there, but this is the area that I'm kind of interested, right? You started this and, you overlapped, you brought it back, you bounced off the POCs. So there's some connection between three of them. This one here just brought the price here and left off. Now, when they come back here, that one's going to play a role. This POC is going to play a major role. See that?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm interested. I'm interested in balance here because I know this is not part of balance. This was in balance shape.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And if we are in a bracketed market, right? Meaning on the longer scale, I'm talking about from here to here, right? From the contract setup to all the way. If we fail here, right? Let me make sure this is extended. Yeah, it is. If we fail here, right? Because we're probably at, I would say 3 sigma. Yeah. 3 sigma, 2 sigma should be right below. Yeah. So here, I mean, look what we're printing at 2 sigma right now. To me, this seems like a typical bull trap. Watch this. This was your previous high right here, right? You guys see it? You broke this high, man, and you just trapped. You took all the liquidity from here. Because what did the bulls have in mind as soon as this broke?
Breakout.
Stay high.
Oh, you're going 4,600. Remember, they're all about round numbers, right? Because you broke 45.15, the next 4,600, then they have different levels right above. But this is a perfect sweep of liquidity and a rejection of the 2-3 sig, right? So if you go here and you just look out, so this is your second sig right here, and third is above. So that zone for the rejection is somewhere around here. Let's see, is that right? That's your zone for the rejection, right? Now I would say for buying, it's somewhere around here. We'll just check the third. Maybe a little bit wider. Okay. So there's your zone for a rejection. If you fail to make higher highs with higher volume, what does the reversion to the mean say?
Demand was not strong enough to break the supply.
Yep. Okay, what else, anyone? What does reversion to the mean mean, actually? What is it?
Gotta come back to where most of the activity was in the range.
Exactly, you're gonna come back to the equilibrium. Mean is just an equilibrium of. So if that's the case, right? And you're not able to break this, right? Where we are right now at top of the value of, I would say, what is that, June 8th? So over a month and you're not breaking the top. And this seems to be topping here, right? Double top so far. Everyone's watching double top with the neckline. And we've seen similar patterns on previous consolidations, but there's a high chance that from here we reject, guys. Because this volume here, did you shift higher with higher volume all the way from here?
No.
No. So the rule is if you're moving higher and making value areas on less volume, and especially when you look at cumulative like we are now, it says high odds are that you're going to revert to the mean, and that mean would be at 44.20. And this demand is fairly strong. Why would we consider this to be a strong demand?
Because it broke the previous high.
Exactly, you just swept it. I mean, it just went through here. This is your previous high, cleared it, this one, and it made higher high, right? So can you expect them to kind of come back here, right, and retest? Yeah, definitely, that's doable. Okay, because this would be a perfect what? Let's look at it now when I extend it.
Yeah,
SR flip.
Yeah, SR flip.
SR flip, right? So on the SR flips, those are big levels, especially when you look at the footprint chart as you're kind of getting to a support level like this one. It's important that you pay to the footprint because you know it's most likely going to be a divergence play on a level like this. I would say 7 out of 10 times they play a little divergence, and then absorption happens, and then you see the bids coming in on the bottom. The passive buyers are stepping in, trying to take it over, and then aggressive sellers, they meet, the late people come in short. Those are the people that regret it. Okay. So any questions here? I believe, this is just a feeling, there's no facts. I think that we are going to stay in the bracketed market longer than a month. It wouldn't be bad for them to visit 43.51, get everybody excited about the puts, bounce it back up, and then people are going to be like, oh, it looks like bracketed market. Do you guys remember this one from March? I mean, that lasted fairly long. $63 days, call it 63 days. And this one is 39 days. So I honestly think one more, even if it's to this level, ideally here, I think one more down is due before a breakout. Unless they're in all-out mode to make you fall in love with being a bull, they might just pop. If they pop from here, that's going to be wild, and it's going to show a lot of people FOMO that they missed the opportunity, and I think that would be pretty smart of them as well. Okay. Any other questions on ES? I think that I covered all my points on it. Okay. Thank you. It's a big level for a bounce. If they give you this overnight, this is pretty good here.
Which level?
This one right here, the PD.
Oh, the 91.
Yeah, that's gonna be a pretty decent area. What's funny about NQ that's not funny about ES?
Price went higher, value went lower.
This is the funniest chart I've seen in a while. Yeah, this is very interesting. So your PD value area low shifted, POC shifted down, value area low shifted, and the price went up. You don't find the value, but the price is higher. Let me ask you this. When you go somewhere, right, let's say to the mall, and there's those little guys in the middle of the mall, they usually offer, especially during Christmas season, right? They offer a bunch of stuff, even for a bald guy like myself. They're like, hey, do you need a straightener? I'm like, no, I mean, like, what do you want me to do with it? But what if the value to you while you're walking of the product they're selling, like you're losing perception of the value, but he keeps increasing the price to you as you're like, no, I don't want it. Instead of, what do they typically do when you say, no, I don't want it? And they said $100 for one. They immediately say, hey, you'll get 7 for the price of 1, right? They'll do something. So what they do is they drop the price to draw you back in, right?
Yep.
But think about this scenario. As you say, no, I don't want that hair straightener. He's like, okay, well, about 300 now. what would be your instant reaction?
I would laugh.
Are you on drugs? Well, take a look at this chart. It's fairly similar, right? They're not finding as value as high as the prior. They're reducing that, right? And they spiked it here. I would call this late trading spike. So it has to be, they have to hold it. Them losing PD value area high here would almost guarantee that you're going to visit at least this level here, which I'm going to keep on my chart, 714. Why would you trust this level, I would say, more than this one here now? Or would you? Maybe you wouldn't. Maybe you see it differently. Why do you think keeping this level here is important?
Sorry, keeping which level?
That I guess.
Oh, but the
Friday
value area low from Friday. Because that's what they had to reclaim today to make the run.
Exactly. Because today, I honestly think if they want to hold it, they have to hold that level, right? Because here they had a small spike. You see that supposedly there's some buyers coming in. But I believe this is their level to hold tomorrow, right? And if they lose this, this is most likely going to be executed within 2 candles. They'll come here, 1, and then 2 here. They will test it super quick here because the value is going down, price going up in a late spike. Usually confirmation needs to happen, and if they fail here, that's the confirmation needed to hold. Then they're going to test it all the way down. So this one is just a little funny, right? And I would look at this as a 2-day balance, right? You could draw this, like I mentioned earlier, you could draw it as a 3-day balance here, but I would look at this more like a 2-day balance because there's major overlap between these, and this one's kind of out of the picture here. Okay. Yep, so they're rejecting right here as well. So 3-day value, 2-day value area high, and then the low is right here, right at the level. Right, so that's why I think this one's fairly important here. I think that they have to test this if they want to go higher. That would cause higher lows as well, and they could proceed. There's just a lot of fixing to do below these levels. You're gonna have to fix some stuff here, a little bit here, and then a bunch here. So they have on 5 days, they have 3 VPOCs here. Pretty aggressive. So maybe if they do one more and hit 16, that'd be good. They typically never go over 4 or 5. Okay. Any questions on this? How would you play along somebody?
Bounces off the high value nodes.
Okay. Anyone else?
15, 70,
Yes.
52.
Say it again, Kazan.
Bounce of the POC.
PDP
Was
of
good.
2 days.
Yep, you could definitely bounce it off of this POC if they give you that opportunity. I think that'd be good. On the long side here, honestly, if they give you this break here, which would be kind of change of character, right? If they give you this break here, retest, you probably won't get the retest of value area high because they would have broken this shelf here. Then you're looking on a retest of this one, which is also the previous high. You would take that and probably draw it all the way to about 80. So about maybe 50, 60 points on that. I would look for something like that on this one. And as long as they hold PD value area high, they cannot break under, right? Because then it starts signaling, right, warnings, right? Especially if they lose this, because there's not a lot of meat here. I mean, enough meat to take a trade. But if you're going to short between these 2 levels, just be very quick. Don't get too excited when you see a lot of green here, because from here, it can really just reverse and go. So I would look to short below the POC, below this level here, to this current PDPOC. Does that make sense? So if they lose this 2-day, you can catch that, right? That's about 20 points. You could do that. And then if they lose this liquidity, this demand zone, then value area low. But I would honestly expect if they lose this POC, that this chance of this value area low really skyrockets.
What do you have for the 2-day POC? That 91.
It is a 91.5.
Okay.
On mark.
Thank you.
Do all of you have a link to my charts? Can you guys see the charts or no?
Yeah, you could see the chart, but I feel like it doesn't update often.
Well, are you able to see it like it? I don't
The
know.
way it is right now.
Press something, yeah.
No, I'm seeing whatever you had before.
Oh. Maybe I'll post a new link, see if that works. Yeah, but this is not a bad long here at all. I don't know how the footprints look, but this is not a bad idea. Watch this as it happens here. No, we want to clear this. And then play the retest, which would be this volume node here, right? 30, reclaim 30, 30 higher, go, and you can catch a pretty significant run on NQ. Okay. Now let me copy this over for you guys. If somebody can just check if you don't mind. Let me know if the link
The
works.
all link works. On
Say it
the
again?
second. The all link works. Like I do see your updates on it.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, you just gotta refresh and do that. It takes a few.
Seconds. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's it for these two. I'll be on tomorrow as well. I'm not going to the zoo, so I'm worn out. I'll be
Thanks, Shorty.
morning
Have a
and
good night.
afternoon. All right, guys. See ya. Have a good one.
Thanks, sir. Good night.
Thanks, Shorty.
Thank you, Shorty.
Thank you.